Welcome to my World History Notes, where I read from the book I wrote to teach homeschool. A Bible believer looks at world history. You can find it on Lulu.com, Amazon.com, at the Bible Baptist Bookstore. Just follow me here. So we're in December 1941. The U.S. Congress passed a $10 billion appropriation for defense and for Lend-Lease. And near Christmas, President Roosevelt and Prime Minister Churchill met in Washington at the Arcadia Conference. Their senior military advisors, officially known as the Combined Chiefs of Staff, CCS, began to plan and direct the Allied war effort on February 6th of 1942. It was agreed at the Arcadia Conference that defeating Nazi Germany was the first priority, while Japan was to be contained until that defeat was accomplished. In July, Admiral W.D. Leahy was appointed Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff. Germany tried hard to deprive the Allied powers of the vital sea lanes of the North Atlantic by U-boat attacks on the coast of the United States. 64 U-boat submarines were sent to strike at American shipping in the home waters of the U.S. German surface ships gathered along the Norwegian coast to assist the submarine Luftwaffe blockade of the only sea route available to the USSR by way of Murmansk. If the USSR was to be kept in the war, this pipeline from the US and England was essential. The huge battleship of the Bismarck class, the Tirpitz, sister ship to the Bismarck, went to this theater to terrorize Allied shipping. The U-boats off the American coast, supplied by, quote, milch cows, large cargo and fuel-carrying submarines, sunk 80 American merchant ships in this campaign. In the English Channel between Great Britain and France, Germany proved its mettle when the battle cruisers Scharnhorst and Gneisenau and the heavy cruiser Prince Eugen, with destroyer escort and Luftwaffe air cover, sailed daringly from Brest to the North Sea unmolested. The mounting losses on the Murmansk run took a heavy toll, as out of 39 convoys of 533 ships, 69 were sunk. The most disastrous was PQ-17, which lost 23 of 37 ships sunk by German warships, including the Tirpitz and U-boat submarines. The U-boats also extended their attacks on the Caribbean, sinking oil tankers and bauxite carriers from Central and South America. Really great book. It's kind of fictional work, but it's fantastic. Alistair MacLean's HMS Ulysses. If you want to read a book, it's excitement and shows you what those sailors had to go through to get the goods to Russia, to keep Russia in the war. That's a good book to read. Remember, the Soviet Union, Lenin taking Russia out of World War I, was really, really a blow to the Allies. So keeping Russia in this war was extremely important, no matter what happened after that, to defeat. Because I read that 8 out of 9 Germans that were killed in World War II were killed on the Eastern Front, and almost all the divisions that were destroyed on the Eastern Front. So Germany battering itself against Russia was vitally important to defeating Germany. This shows you how powerful the German army was. It is not likely, from what I can read, that if Hitler had not attacked Russia, or if Russia had surrendered, then it's not likely that we would have had D-Day in Normandy and been able to invade Europe. Who knows what the world would have been like after that? Anyway, but in August of 1942, the balance began to shift as the Allies were able to come up with more effective countermeasures, resulting in the sinking of 85 U-boats. The American industrial colossus was now starting to build as many ships as it was losing. The Battle of the Atlantic was starting to turn to the favor of the Allies after 3 years of war. A commando raid was carried out by a former American destroyer, the Campbelltown, on Saint Nazaire, wrecking the only dry dock in Europe outside of Germany capable of taking the giant Tirpitz in March of 1942. A 1,000 plane air raid over the important railroad yards at Cologne occurred at the end of May in 1942. Then a setback for the Allies took place at Dieppe, Dieppe, in August of 1942, when a major amphibious raid by Anglo-Canadian troops ended in complete failure, with 3 out of the 5 of the men being put ashore killed or wounded. 28 tanks and a number of landing craft were lost as well. This failure prevented any major invasion attempt of the mainland Europe, called Fortress Europe, for nearly 2 more years. The only good things that came out of Dieppe debacle were the lessons learned on amphibious assaults. Sorry about mispronouncing some of the names, but you can look them up. So we're going to go to North Africa next, then the Eastern Front, and we'll go from there next time. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope this encourages you to start looking into what happened in history, study it yourself, come to your own conclusions. Thank you.